I'm Fiona and welcome to another home ec video. For today's cleaning tip, I am going to show you how to clean a washing machine. Washing machines can build up all of the detergent, all of the grimy water, even just fibers from your clothes. They all get built up and gunked up in your machine. So cleaning it is going to not only prolong the life of your clothes, help them wash better, it's also going to keep your home smelling clean and lovely. You're not going to get any clogged up drain smells. And also your appliance is going to last longer and be more effective. The most important thing to do before you even go near the actual cleaning of the machine, if you don't already know, find the drain outside your house that your washing machine drains into. You'll be able to do that just by putting it on a cycle and then watching the drains and seeing which one is being fed water. The reason you want to do that is because if that drain is clogged up, no matter how much you clean this machine, you're still going to have a gross clogged drain smell. And I know that from experience. When I moved into this house, the drain was so clogged up and disgusting, and the smell was just so bad at one point. It was absolutely disgusting. It was embarrassing. It was like there was something completely wrong with the whole house. And even then, opening windows didn't help because the smell was kind of coming from outside. So thankfully we found out that that's what was causing it, but you're definitely going to want to make sure that the drain is moving freely. And for the actual cleaning itself, what you're going to want is a bucket of warm soapy water, if you're able to get them, soda crystals. So you can generally just get these in the cleaning aisle of your supermarket. If for any reason you can't, you'll be able to use vinegar for the stage of cleaning that these come into. You are going to need some just regular distilled white vinegar. Just the stuff from your kitchen is perfectly fine. A couple of cleaning cloths as well, just your basic standard stuff. Make sure they've got a nice little bit of texture to them so that they can really get in there and clean. You are definitely going to need a large old towel. A few optional extras that I'm going to be using. You might want gloves, personal choice, up to you. I have a knockoff of a sonic scrubber, just an electric cleaning brush. There's a few stickers and things on the front of the machine that I want to get rid of. So I've got a scraping tool. So it's just a little blade that you can use. It's actually usually for, say, getting paint flecks off things, but I'm gonna give it a go on this so that I don't wreck my nails. Another optional extra would be baking soda if you feel you really need to deep clean this, but for me personally, I don't use it. Not for any like specific reason, I just find that I get the results I want with just vinegar. So the first thing you need to do is remove the baseboard that's covering your machine. I feel like in a lot of cases it's usually loose, I think just with the intention of being able to access and move your machine, but that might not be the case in your own house, so just look into that. But for me it's very easy, I can just slide it out. I also want to try and move the machine outwards a bit just to really get in around the sides and the top. I've been noticing as I'm loading it lately that up here above it is getting quite dusty and gross. So I do want to try and get at that if I can, but it's not something I would do every time. You should do this job at the very least seasonally, if not once a month. Once a month is your ideal. I wouldn't pull the machine out every time I clean it, but I do just want to give it that extra bit of a clean today. I'm probably not going to be able to get it all the way out because I'm a little weakling. Okay, this is actually as far as it will come out anyway because it's getting caught on the flooring. So first thing I'm going to do is remove the old stickers. There is this big warranty sticker on here as well. I have no idea if we're within the 10 years, I presume so. I feel like this machine isn't older than 10 years, but it was here when we bought the house and I have no idea when it was installed. So I might just leave that one just in case. I don't know. I'm that kind of person. I like to keep like manuals and numbers and everything like that just in case. You never know. But this one's just annoying me. It looks dirty and old, so I'm gonna get rid of that. So my next step, I'm just going to give it a quick dust just to remove any of the light and not particularly gross dust. There will be dust that's really caked in there, but there's a lot of just daily dust that accumulates right in here in the groove of the door. So make sure to get that. Already such a nice little difference. I want to actually take a second and highlight the gloves I'm using. They're actually compostable. They're from the brand Green Aware, and they make like the compost bin bags and stuff like that, and they make compostable single-use gloves now, so that's really, really great. You don't have to use latex gloves. They work just as well, and then you can just throw them in your compost bin when you're done. I'm going to pick you up to show you the top of the machine so we can see. It's not too bad, thankfully, but it is definitely old and dusty and gross, and you'll see in here as well. I guess that's from construction work or something. That's pretty caked on there. And this is as far as the machine is able to come out, so I'm only going to be able to get some of that. So I'm just grabbing one of those cloths in the soapy water. I'm forever trying to find the best angles to do these kinds of things. Bear with me. So I'm going to start with the front of the machine with the warm soapy water, just because that is the cleaner part, and I don't want to gross up my water with all of this and then have to clean here. I'm not going to worry too much about the removable sections like the drawer and then the filter, which is down here that you can't see, because they are going to get cleaned separately themselves. I feel like the sticky mark is actually going to take a couple of goes, so I'm going to give it my best attempt for now, but I think it'll probably just need a couple of tries. Don't forget about this section down here. This is one of the major reasons we moved that baseboard out of the way, because this area does definitely get dirty as well, and you are going to want to be able to get at your filter. And there's also some paint, so I'm actually going to get my little scraper tool again. The lights on there so you can see just a few little streaks of paint that must have hit against the machine while the place was being very poorly painted. Unfortunately, when we moved in, it was, you know, it was fine, but as you can see, literally every inch of the house needs to be painted, so we're just taking it one step at a time. So you can ignore this gross skirting board here. I have not gotten to this yet. Just like the haphazard filler jobs that were done. There's paint on literally everything as well. There's so many things, like our light fixtures, and like it just seems whoever painted didn't put any sort of tape or protective materials around, because there are just streaks and splashes everywhere. I don't want to scratch or dent or anything, so I'm just taking this really gently and slowly. Again, it might be one of those things that I can't get it all off in one go. Put another bit here as well. Oh, that bit's very easy. This lighting's actually better. I thought it might be a bit too harsh to have the overheads on, but it's a grey and rainy day, so I guess that's what we need. I actually have an extra cloth. This one's dry. I haven't used this, so I'm actually just gonna dry off the surface that I've cleaned, just so we don't get any watermarks. What a difference. Look at that, it's so shiny, it's reflecting the lights. I love it. All right, so we are gonna get a little bit gross now. So that was all very easy and civilized, but this might be the grossest part of the job. And this is why you need your large, old towel. Not your nice towels, the old ones. So we're going to tuck this in under the machine. And make sure you've still got plenty out in front of the machine as well. And you're going to find your little filter. For me, it's this. And you're going to open it up. It's going to be gross. It could very well smell if you don't do this very often. It could have a bad smell. Be ready for that. And it's going to be a lot of water. It's going to be like a surprising amount. Actually, let me take you down here so you can get really up close and personal with it. It's going to be like when the elevator doors open in The Shining, except just not blood. If you have like a very old baking tray or something like a paint tray, something that's shallow but can still hold liquid, and again, it has to be something that you don't particularly care about because this water is gross. Yes, you could very easily just, you know, give a baking tray a really thorough clean and use it again for food. Personally, I'd feel weird about that, so I don't. I'll leave that up to you. But if you've got like an old spare one that you don't really use, or, you know, again, like a crafting or DIY kind of thing, whip that out here. Line it up so that it's going to fit under your filter. I'm not sure about enough other washing machines to know, but mine is like really close to the ground. So for me to get something under here and catch anything that spills out from this, it would have to be really, really shallow. So I just let it rip. I just let it rip onto the towel and hope for the best. So yeah, as you can see, that's quite a bit of water come out, and this is why I make sure to get the towel underneath the machine as well, because it is going to obviously flow back that way too. So you're going to want to make sure that that's all covered. These filters are fantastic. You need to keep them clean though. So here we've got what I think is a color catcher, one of those little sheets that you put in. So that shouldn't be in there, but clearly it just got caught up in there in a wash. So we've got our little plug here that we're going to clean separately, and then you've got this area here that you're also going to clean. Thankfully for me, this actually isn't too stinky of a job because I do it quite regularly. It is surprising how much water is in there. Even, you know, I've done this where I've emptied it and I've done one cycle and then I've emptied it again, and it is still quite a bit of water. So it's nothing to do with how regularly you empty it, how much water there's going to be, but it will determine if the water's been sitting around and getting gross. So if you do this more often, it's actually not going to be too bad of a job. You can see here on the towel that there are some fibers and things that have accumulated from washes. So these are things that like will clog up your machine. You don't want them to clog up your machine. So this is why you clean it out. I'm getting my soapy water. I'm just going to put this in there. And I'm going to come back to that in a few minutes. I'm just going to let it soak for now. And then I will come back and just give it a really good scrub with the cloth, with my brush if need be. And it's going to be beautiful. For the actual filter hole itself, this is the first time our vinegar is going to come in. So I'm going to use that cloth that I was using earlier, the dry one. You could use your wet one as well. It really doesn't make much of a difference, but I have this one here. Get some on the cloth. I don't use any particular measurements or anything. I just dampen a cloth with vinegar and go from there. Just gonna make sure that really gets in there. Work it around. And you might be wondering why vinegar. So personally, I absolutely adore cleaning with vinegar because it's so readily available and it's environmentally friendly and animal friendly. It's non-toxic. There's just so many great benefits to using vinegar for cleaning. It's also massively effective, especially in something like a washing machine. It's going to help break down any sort of gunk and limescale and stuff like that, and keep everything nice and clean, keep those pipes clean. So I'm really just like shoving that cloth in there and twisting it all the way around. That's the filter, easy peasy. So I've got the cap in there. And I've still got that cloth from earlier. So I'm just going to give it a scrub. Like I was saying earlier, if you do this regularly, it doesn't have to be a particularly big or gross job. It should be relatively easy to take care of. It's really nice cleaned. The front is clean as well. So I'm just going to set this out on a dry section of that towel to dry for a minute. So I pushed it mostly back in and now I'm out of breath because it's heavy. So we're going to grab the drawer. Now these pop out, just kind of check maybe your manual or whatever so you don't break it, but in general you just need to give them a small bit of force and they pop right out. Might be a little bit of liquid left in them, just tip that out. These need to be cleaned so much, even if you don't clean the whole machine. It's really no harm to pop this drawer out even once a week and just give it a rinse, because you're going to find a lot of your laundry products can build up in here, and that's also gross. And if you don't clean these very regularly, which is the condition I found it in when I moved in, you're going to find mold. That is absolutely not what you want. It's actually already a bit of mold forming, even though I do clean this quite regularly. You can see there is already a little bit of mold forming around here. And that is because there's so much water going around a washing machine. It doesn't always get fully dry, it's dark, mold grows, so this is why we clean them. There's usually a detachable part in here for like the fabric softener or whatever. While I'm talking about fabric softener, don't use it. If you can give it up, you really should, because it actually doesn't really benefit anything. It just clogs up your machine and leaves a coating on your clothes. Especially, my God, those like scent boosters. I'm not going to name brand names here, but every time the ad comes on TV, I get like a little bit annoyed because they're just a total scam. Like, sure, they probably do make your clothes smell really good, but they're, you know, at what cost? They're wrecking your machine. They're probably leaving some damage on your clothes. Just keep your laundry as straightforward and simple as you can. If you just use like a quality detergent and do like your pre-treatments or your vinegar soaks or whatever, your clothes are going to be great. You don't need all those extra things. Save yourself some money, save yourself the hassle of your machine getting gross. Also, especially sheets and towels, you cannot put fabric softener on them. They won't work nearly as effectively. They will just actually block their absorbency and breathability. So I have that vinegar soaked rag from earlier. I actually have quite a bit of vinegar on it, so it's probably okay. Actually quite pungent. I don't mind it too much, but definitely crack a window if you don't care for the smell. And this is somewhere that you could whip out that baking soda if you really wanted to. I might actually grab it just for argument's sake. There are a lot of occasions where I use bread soda to clean. I'm not completely against it. As a whole, there's just sometimes where I feel like I don't really need it, so I don't tend to use it. I think what I'll do is just maybe sprinkle a little bit in. I guess that's enough. I'm gonna grab my cleaning brush. I've just got like a standard head on it. I'm going to just put a little bit of vinegar on top. That's going to foam up because they're having a chemical reaction. Make sure you get underneath the drawer as well. There's crevices that things can grow in. A lot of these you can actually take the front part off as well. Just be gentle so that you don't break anything. For me, this piece is usually really clean because I don't use fabric softener, but if you do, it's going to be affecting this. So you're probably going to have some buildup in the lettering and in the diagrams there, so make sure to get those. So all we do now is just rinse those pieces off. I've just set those bits out on the dry part of that towel from before just to drain off. All of the products that we used on them are perfectly washing machine safe, so they don't have to be completely cleaned before you can use them again. Obviously, like, do give them a good rinse, but don't worry if there's any traces left. Now we're going to take care of this section that the drawer comes out of. So this is going to be another area that if you don't clean it very often, up in here you're going to see so much gunk and mold, because this is where the water comes out, goes into the drawer and delivers the products down into your machine. So again, this is a great spot for mold and bacteria to grow because it's damp and dark. Even with regular cleaning, it does still get dirty. You know, I can still see patches of mold and things growing in there, so I'm gonna give that another good clean. I was wondering why my tripod was leaving gross muddy marks everywhere. Yeah, I took it out and was filming outside one day and using it for photography. So that's why I completely forgot that it was muddy. Just so you know, that it's not what my worktop normally looks like. I'm gonna continue with the baking soda, just for this particular area here, because I feel like the reaction is going to really help to get in to the hard to reach areas. It's really hard to find somewhere to set this up that you're gonna be able to see everything and I'm not gonna be in the way. I'm just gonna grab about a tablespoon of the baking soda and pop it in as far as I can and tip it out. And then I'm going to do the same with vinegar and just throw that in. So if you're someone who really likes to see suds when you clean, this is going to be a great combination for you. Vinegar alone won't show you like any sort of reaction, even though it is a perfectly effective cleaner. I try and do this as best as I can while holding the camera. So I'm getting my brush, which is great because I'm going to be able to get far in there and get in to like these bits here. You can use a cloth if you don't have something like this, or even an old toothbrush will do. There's a bit of paint that I forgot to get. Now look at how much cleaner that is already. How you can rinse some of this out is grab a really saturated wet cloth, pop it in there. My hand is going to take up most of the shot, so you're not really going to see this, but you're going to squeeze water out. You're in there, and that is going to rinse away a lot of that. So just do that a couple of times, and you can just wipe down your sides. So there you have it. That's that. We only have one section left to clean. The amount of cleaning you have to do will completely depend on how regularly you do clean this. So you might literally just need to spot clean some areas, just get in and around the nooks and crannies. Just wipe these down with one of your damp cloths. Where you're really gonna need to focus on is in this rubber section here. So as we can see, thankfully mine is relatively clean. I feel like I'm just showing off now. But there are going to be machines that might not be quite as clean in here. Don't worry about it, it's fine, it happens. But what you're going to do is grab your damp cloth that you've been using for vinegar, get your vinegar back, pour some on. There's actually some baking soda still in there so you can hear it fizz. And basically just get in, just get on underneath that. Catch little ridges there where it can build up. Don't forget the top. Now I have heard people say that certain vinegars can erode the rubber on this part, but that is actually usually just the much stronger cleaning vinegars that are a higher percentage. So just a regular household vinegar in theory should be fine, but do just obviously take precautions. Don't overuse it, just use it sparingly, and if you notice any deterioration, obviously you need to back right off. That is what we are looking at right now. What I think I'm going to do is actually just rinse this off. Just going to take care of this area here. Just give a little rinse, because this area is not going to get washed when we turn on the cycle. I'm going to start reassembling everything. I'll just give these bits a little wipe down. As I said, they don't need to be perfect because they're going to get rinsed in a cycle now anyway. This part definitely should be dry anyway because that's going to be outside, so you want to make sure that that's good. We'll get this part. Don't forget your filter, or else you'll flood your kitchen. Make sure that's really nicely locked in. These are all rubbish. And now that is our beautifully clean machine. So the last thing you want to do, this is where bring in these soda crystals, if you have them. If you don't, bring back your vinegar and just pour a good cup of it into the drum itself. So basically just pour these right into the drum. I feel like that's enough for my needs right now, but as I said, if you do need a deeper clean, maybe add a bit more in. You could add kind of like 1/3 of a bag, maybe. That was about 1/4, so you could add a little bit more if you feel you need that deeper clean. For me, I'm satisfied with that. Turn this on. We're gonna put it on the hottest setting, which should be about 90 degrees for most machines. There we go, 90 degrees. Doesn't really matter what spin it's on because it's not really relevant. So I'm just gonna take it off. Now, check the different time options available. So we have 1 hour 52 or 2.5 hours. Give it a longer one if it's its first clean in a while. If this is kind of its monthly clean, you can probably get away with a shorter cycle on it. So 90 degrees, off we go. So everything's just gonna get completely rinsed around in there, which is gonna be great for the pipes and the plumbing. And top tip, when it's done, make sure that you leave the door open. So after every cycle, you have to leave this door ajar or it's going to get gross. So take out the washing and don't lock this closed. There we have a beautifully clean machine. I'm absolutely delighted because it was a bit overdue and I was starting to smell the drain a bit, so I'm delighted that is done and clean. Let me know if there's anything else that you want to know how to clean, or cleaning hacks or tips or whatever, or even just something that you enjoy watching being cleaned. And thank you for watching. Let me know if you do your washing machine. If you only learned that this is something you can and should do, please let me know how you get on. I'd love to hear it. Even send me pictures. That might be a bit weird, I don't know. But you can send me before and after pictures if you want. Thanks again for spending time with me, and see you again soon.